That's my position. No, I don't want... Okay.
The roaming microphones are working.
Okay, who's in charge? Do you want to be here? I mean, I need somebody standing there. Do you want to be here, seeing as you did the morning?
I can.
Okay.
If there is reassuring for you, I can.
It's a bit.
Okay, so I'm staying short.
Okay, get us some mic.
I take paper. I can.
Yeah, just get a couple of chairs there.
Yeah.
Hello? Volume, yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much indeed. Could everybody try to come into the middle? I know we like to sit at the edge, but those of you who are at the edge, like Keith, sitting there next to Benita, come in a bit. JB, it's nice you're sitting in the middle. I've got a nice eyeball to you. Watch it. I might ask you questions. Come into the middle. Thank you very much, Victoria. And if you feel like coming to the front, you know we love it. It makes us more intimate. There we are. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Erin. Okay. Time ticks by. Michael, thank you for coming. If you feel you want to be at the edge, that's fine. Make everybody else push in. Or you come around this side. There's some nice edge seats free here. This room, it's full of heroes. 2 days. Just brilliant. This is the last 25%. In a way, it's the most important. Okay, well, wait till you're quiet. Est-ce que vous avez traduction ou non? Oui? Dans toutes les langues? Les français, les francophones, vous pouvez entendre? Merci. It is my opportunity in front of you to thank Florence for yesterday morning. Could we just thank Florence, please? It wasn't easy. Thank you. Wait. Who? Who was the translator? Oh, to the interpreters who are up on the 8th floor, thank you very much. Okay, I am now... okay, let's sit down, otherwise you'll get tired. Anybody else? Right. Is that all right? Good, yeah. Why are we here? We've just had a meeting, and we are trying now to feed back to you what we heard in the last 1.5 days. We have about 10 minutes to feed back. Here it is. The discussion has been lively and energetic. If you have not had an opportunity to be heard, please make sure that you are heard in the next 2 hours. Because what we're going to do now is to reflect on the work we have done. We are going to think about the movement between now and this time next year. And then we're going to think about the movement between next year and 2020. So we have 2 processes. We think about the next year, and we think about the next 6 years. Now I give you our summary and our conclusions. What has come out of the meetings and discussions that we had? Firstly, they were very, very rich. Secondly, government leadership is what our movement is all about. But it's government leadership right from the center of government. It is not one ministry. It is the Prime Minister. It is the President. To get that central leadership, we need the commitment of the President or the Prime Minister. To get that commitment, we need at all times to respect the multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder approach to nutrition. To get that, we need full involvement of civil society, open, inclusive involvement, not choosing one or two organizations, but creating space for all. We need a UN system that behaves as though it is truly one and not competing between the agencies. Am I all right? Can you hear me? Okay. Interpreters, if it's a mess, you send a message. Yes, we need an approach to nutrition which reflects multiple stakeholders. One that helps us to build trust and to fight against conflicts of interest. We need an approach which harmonizes tools for tracking and for measuring outcomes. We need an approach to planning and costing where the process involves all sectors and all stakeholders, even though it's difficult. And yes, there will be people who say the plans still need work, but that's not to critique. It's simply the reality. This planning across sectors, across departments, across different districts and communities, it's really difficult. You ask anybody, ask how the US government gets on. Talk to somebody from the White House. Talk to somebody from the British government. Talk to somebody from Canada or France or from Brazil or from South Africa. It is difficult. And yet you can't do nutrition without trying to get whole of government. And some of you are doing better than really anybody else in the world. There are examples of multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder planning across the Sun countries, which are lessons for everybody. And they are unusual. They're not the countries that always get the prizes. I'm not going to tell you, but I have a view in my heart. And I tell you, it's really some countries very special. I think they know which they are. And that really is important. There are countries represented in this room that are doing brilliant stuff. And we must understand that. We must never be thinking that somehow what we're doing is substandard. What we're doing is trying to get it right, even though it is difficult. We're trying to set targets. We're trying to bring different sectors together. We're trying to build on existing systems and get them working properly. We're trying to create monitoring and evaluation that gives the information that's right. We're trying to involve the Ministry of Finance. We're trying to make sure that the donors, the UN, civil society and business are all there and crowd them in. We're trying to measure outcomes, transformation in nutrition, even though it's difficult. We're following what's in the Lancet, but we're also bringing the different sectors into play. We're trying to go out to district and provincial level. We're trying to make sure that we are fully accountable for everything, to what the expectations of the people, to the donors. We're trying to involve communities for rolling out nutrition. We're trying to get full ownership. We're trying to get the media involved. This is so complicated. There are many moving parts, and yet we, 42 sun countries, we're not scared. We're doing it. And it's come out in the discussions here, and it's come out sometimes very acutely. We're trying to get really great advocacy and communications, building on evidence, clear and simple messages. It came out yesterday afternoon. So you've asked, all of you from the countries, more help, please. Help with nutrition-sensitive approaches. Does anybody know how to define them, how to cost them? Well, it's our job in the Secretariat to help you do that. You've asked for help with costing your plans and then rolling them out. And we're going to help get that. We're kind of, in the movement, I feel that we're like a dating service. You know, we're matchmakers. That's the role of the Secretariat. That's what Patrizia, wherever she is, spends her time doing. Where are you, matchmaker Patrizia? Somewhere. Hidden. Patrizia, where are you? In the back. She's matchmaking. We're also in this very delicate process of indicators. As somebody said this morning, I think it was Margaret Chan, you can't have hundreds of indicators. You've got to somehow get it down to one or two. But it's really difficult. And so again, we need to help you with that. And involving the private sector. It causes big trouble to some of you. So we're working with you on that. And then raising more money. The money, quite a lot of money has been pledged by your own governments, by the donors. But finding the key to unlock those pledges is super difficult. And we believe we have to help. We're trying to introduce a new idea, what we call investor reviews, so that you can share your plans with a group who will tell you whether those plans are the kinds that will get money and support for 5 years, for 10 years. It doesn't guarantee, but we're trying to help. You've got your own resources. What's the most priceless resource you have? It's partly the political will of your presidents and prime ministers. Like, yeah, that's absolutely key. But it's not just the head man or head woman like Joyce Banda in Malawi. It's also the people and their representatives, the MPs. It's also the village chiefs. It's the women's organizations. It's the farmers. These are your special resource. None of us globally can provide any of that. And some of you are nurturing that energy in the most amazing ways, with fantastic communication strategies, with superb networking, with extraordinary engagement of women, women, women everywhere, because women understand this stuff, not us lot. We don't. Especially women who've had babies and struggled. And it is struggle. And you are letting the struggle come up, 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 from the household to the village, to the district, to the region, to the nation, to Parliament, to the President, to the Prime Minister, to the donors, to international civil society, to business, to the UN. You're doing that. That's the movement. So what is the big asset that you have? It may be your president or your prime minister, but it's that energy that's coming from the people. So the nutrition is no longer some silly little issue that's done by a few in the corner of the Ministry of Health. Nutrition is everybody's, because it's so important for everybody, for their presence, for their future. And it somehow got lost. And you're bringing in business in your own way. You're bringing in different parts of government. You're bringing in the media. That's your strength. Okay, so our job in the movement is to bring the others in. And this really came out yesterday and today. Global and regional support for information, for tracking, for experience and for learning. Technical assistance for specific defined areas. Operational research. We have had with us over these 2 days the amazing Bob Black and his team, and they'll be around tonight. They're ready to do more, the research community. We just have to tell them what we need. Training, but not just training in what is the nutritional content of a particular food. It's training in multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder approaches. Capacity building. Capacity building, so important. And then partnerships. Fiona, anything else? Oh no, she said no. She wasn't expecting. So, this is what you have discussed. I've given it a little bit my own feeling, but that's because I was in so much brilliant stuff over the last 2 days. Who would have expected Margaret Chan, the Director General of WHO, not to come and give a big speech, but to slip in to that group this morning just for an hour and stand there and say stuff that was just amazing. Who would have expected the business people who've been around to really understand the realities of what's going on, whether it was Vanita and Feike and Antoine yesterday, or the 2 seminars today. So we have learnt a lot. I hope you have learnt a lot. I hope you've made some new friends. And I'd like to invite quite a lot of people to come up here. The order may surprise you, but they are people to whom I'm going to ask some questions on your behalf. And if you want to ask something, I want you to tell us. Florence, have we got enough seats? Oh, I see. Okay. I'm guilty here. Asma Latif, where are you? Can you come? Thank you. Nancy Walters, can you come? Anna Taylor, can you come? I see you hidden in there. Maria Conati, can you come? Thank you. Bibi Giosi, can you come? Is it a surprise that I asked 5 women? 6 women. Emon, where are you? Thank you. NK, are you here? Sean Baker, are you here? And Sean DeClean, spelt differently, are you here? This is our panel. Just to tell you in advance, the next panel, so that people don't get scared, if she's here, Nina Sajunani, are you here, Ibu Nina? All right, next panel. Next panel, Nahas Angula, are you here? Sir? Are you? Yeah, yeah. There you are. Yeah, second panel. Michael Anderson. Somewhere you're here. I saw you. Jay Naidu. Are you here? There you are. Next panel. Ibrahim Mayaki. Are you here? He will arrive, says Florence. Thank you. Vinita Bali. Are you here? Yeah. Next panel. Jean-Pierre Halquin. Yeah. Next panel. Werner Schultink. Are you here? Next panel. Tom Arnold. Next panel. Now, there are going to be a couple of other surprise people. Just stay ready, all on your toes. You never know, you might be called. Ladies and gentlemen, are you there? Right. Now, first of all, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Have we got some microphones? Yeah. And then you think of your questions. I was going to fix it so that we'd only ask questions in advance, but then that seemed too contrived. So just write down on your papers any things that you have that are key for the next year. That's this panel. This panel is looking at between now and this time next year. Ask what you like. We'll try not to censor it. But meanwhile, 1 minute each on your reflections, having taken part in this process. Quickly, maximum no more than 1 minute. I know that you haven't been properly prepared. Why are you scared? Emon. It is only 1 minute. You don't have, if you can't think of anything, pass it to your next door neighbour.
About what?
About what?
Okay.
Your reflections on the last 2 days.
Okay.
And you knew I was going to ask you that, and how that feeds in to the future. And these microphones work best if you hold them very close to your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my
thank you very
saliva's all
much.
over that one. Thank you.
I got the first one, and sounds like the beauty pageant when we all have to answer the same question. The thing
What did she
is,
say?
these 2 days, I've learned a lot, and one of the things I felt more and more is that countries has a good stronghold of what they want to do. What is the future of their country? How passionate and committed they are. This morning, when I was with the session and Dr. Margaret Chan was speaking about how she felt harmonization of UN agency would be helpful, my thinking was, if the networks of the sun can align themselves better and harmonize, that will already be contributing to the country progress. Let me give you a specific things. We're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 indicators that country has to compile each year to report. If that has been reduced half, the country will have capacity left, human resource, to do what needs to be done. So the Sun Movement, what's all about is how we can assist the country by aligning efforts internationally, regionally, and country-wise to assist the country to be able to move forward better towards your goal. That's my take for these 2 days. Thank you.
Now, thank you, Emon. When you clap, it means that we're really going to take that on board. The louder you clap, the more we'll take it on board. That's a pretty good clap. And in a way, it reflects a line that Emon has taken consistently in her role as facilitator of the country network. Countries are in the lead. They cannot lead if the rest of the movement does not align in support of countries, right? Thank you. NK.
Well, I think the proceedings for the last 1.5 days have been really very good, and it keeps with the principle of keeping countries as the prime focus in the Sun movement and keeping their interests in view. What I feel that every country has got an opportunity to express what they have achieved, and I feel it's been a useful learning experience for all of us, including us, as to what countries have done. I think that spirit needs to continue, and I would say the Sun Movement Secretariat has really worked hard on doing all that, and with the charismatic leadership of Dr. David Nabarro, and I think that kind of a spirit should continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, NK. Just to say, NK has been consistently supporting the country networks along with Emon. The third person who's been strongly supporting the country network in phone calls every 8 weeks is Bibi Giosi. She wasn't here yesterday morning because she was accompanying Ibrahim Mayaki in the lead group. And Bibi, again, your views, having listened over the last 2 days.
Thank you, David. I think one thing that has come up very clearly is that even though we are talking about increasing resources and investing better in nutrition, it is ultimately not about throwing money at a problem. It is going to take us really building capacities on the ground, and in this regard, building and resuscitating extension services across the different sectors is going to be very important. Secondly, for sustainability, I think we need to engage the young professionals, because when we all go, who's going to carry on? Who's going to really continue and sustain the momentum? So we need to look at engaging young professionals for sustainability and for continuity. This is how we can get the movement really going strongly. And finally, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. There are so many lessons that we have. There are so many things that we can just tweak a little and do better. And this is a message that has been coming from the different countries and from the different, stakeholders and supporters. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Bibi. It's this very much everybody engages, plus we do it a bit faster. I get the feeling you have a sense of urgency. Is that right?
Absolutely. We cannot wait. The problem cannot wait. We need to land running.
Okay, Bibi works with NEPAD and is supporting a really important process of bringing together agriculture, food security, and nutrition. Now, another person involved in that linkage, but from a different space, is Sean DeClean. You may not know Sean, he's on the right, but he's been hugely involved in agriculture and nutrition linkages. Some of you have said this is an area where we are behind. Are we, Sean? And how are we going to get this caught up if we are?
So I don't think it's about being behind. I think what's happened over the last few years is you've had, in a way, two parallel streams that have really taken off. So you've had the Sun movement and what's happening in that space on nutrition, and then in a way you've had agriculture doing its own thing, and then you've had other ones to do with climate change, particularly, and the whole role of climate smart agriculture. And so I think the trick now is, right, how do you keep the momentum? The last couple of days for me have been listening to people really look at how are we taking this forward, how are we creating a real grassroots momentum around this, but at the same time, how do you leverage up on that? And does that mean that Sun does everything and that you do everything, or do you actually start to align very strategically with other initiatives that are happening out there, whether it's Grow Africa that I've been co-chairing up until yesterday when I handed over the reins for this, or the New Vision for Agriculture, or some of the civil society agendas that have been focusing on agriculture and on women's empowerment. How do you align around these different agendas so that nutrition links into them at the many different facets and use that alignment as a real step change in its own right? And so I'm echoing, your point, and it's the same. So I think alignment is a really powerful thing. I think the other reflection I would have as well is just to think about is how do you use the whole ecosystem? Agriculture is having this challenge as well. How does it go from farm to fork? And I think in nutrition it's the same. I've heard a lot of discussion over the last 2 days focusing on fortification, and that's a really important area. But I think it's much wider than that. And so how do you use the whole linkage with infrastructure, with post-harvest storage, with agriculture, cell phone networks, with education? How do you bring all of that together and not just also concentrate specifically on post-harvest food fortification, which is critical, but there is a bigger ecosystem approach there.
Align, link, and empower. Your 3 words you said, ecosystem approach. This is something to look at for the next year, and others may want to resonate. You may want to resonate as well. Thank you very much, Sean. Could you pass the microphone to your left? Could you pass to Asma Latif? Now, Asma, you have been involved in this since 2010. You have believed passionately that civil society has a key role to play. How have you reflected on the last 2 days?
It's been absolutely amazing, actually, and I was struck by what you said earlier, but listening to everyone describe their experiences over the last 2 days. The Sun movement really has spurred collaboration at the country level where there wasn't prior to the Sun movement. So I think we should just take stock of how far we've come in terms of civil society really beginning to see the opportunity and seize the opportunity to work together. And that's new, and that really needs to be encouraged. It was interesting in the process of listening to the discussions over the last 2 days. People are at various different stages, and there's a lot of learning to be done, a lot of sharing to be done, and we really need to spend a little time unpacking what has worked and really figuring out, what unlocks the transformation. For example, like in Peru, the First Lady mentioned that the lights went on all of a sudden. What led to that? And I think we would all gain from understanding the various actions that led to that awakening, if you will. I'm also struck by how important for civil society it is to have a very strong policy framework at the national level. Meaningful action and coordination and collaboration and alignment can only happen with that strong policy framework. And, there's been a lot of discussion over the last 2 days about champions, and not just champions in the form of national leaders and celebrities, but at every level. You'll find champions at the ministry level, and we need to really invest in and build those champions at the district and the community level. So moving to that at the next stage.
There you go. Thank you very much, Asma. Just to stress, civil society, learning a lot. Countries are at different stages in the extent to which nutrition is becoming mainstreamed into people's thinking. There is a kind of unlocking process that we can afford to identify. A single, clear national policy framework is hugely helpful, and champions matter. And thank you for those reflections. Now, maintenant, peut-être, c'est le temps de parler avec Maria Conate, parce que vous pouvez peut-être nous donner votre réflexion de les derniers 2 jours, et aussi votre sentiment, qu'est-ce que c'est qu'il faut faire pendant les prochains 12 mois.
Merci David. Merci de me permettre de parler en français. Ce que j'ai compris de ces 2 derniers jours, c'est que le mouvement Sun était vraiment très important. Il y avait la capacité, ou en tout cas donnerait la capacité de faciliter les échanges entre le secteur privé et le secteur public. l'administration publique. C'était très intéressant de pouvoir échanger, de connaître l'expérience de d'autres pays ou de d'autres entités. C'est aussi très encourageant de nous permettre d'échanger avec des autorités, de sensibiliser les autorités. Je n'ai pas trop à me plaindre parce que le gouvernement de la Côte d'Ivoire, qui a rejoint le SUN il n'y a pas longtemps, a toujours favorisé cela et encouragé les entreprises. Mais il faut être sûr que le business privé est vraiment très important et peut jouer un rôle très important dans la lutte contre la malnutrition. Et que ce n'est pas un vilain, mais c'est vraiment nécessaire d'appuyer le secteur privé. Donc, je vous remercie. J'espère que l'année prochaine, on pourra de nouveau se réunir ainsi et puis faire la promotion du secteur privé en partenariat avec le secteur public. Voilà.
Very interesting. Thank you for that serious suggestion about what we need to work towards next year. Merci bien pour mots. That's quelque chose qu'il faut penser, qu'il faut souvenir. Right at the center of country efforts, we have the United Nations system. And this morning, during the UN system discussions, we heard of, in a way, a new way of working for the UN, part new, part not new. Nancy Walters, welcome in your role as coordinator of the REACH partnership and as one of the organizers of the UN network. Your reflections on the last day and a half, please. En anglais, français, c'est ce que vous voulez. Ça marche.
Ça marche? Okay, I'll do it in English in any case. I think we really did hear from countries, and that was the intention of this meeting, and it definitely succeeded. I think what I found also was just a respect in those discussions for all the players around the table, and the countries also recognizing that the support they are provided from other areas is valued, and I think we heard a lot about putting countries at the center. We heard, for instance, from many countries that they would like help to do better, but they don't want us, the UN, or others to do it for them. That it's really about building capacity, and this was a key message that came up again and again. I think from my perspective, I was quite pleased to hear the positive recognition that the countries have for the UN and the role they play, both at country level and at global level in terms of the normative work. And I felt that there was a call for the UN to do better, in a sense, for the UN to use its power that it has in terms of, the word that kept coming up in the sessions was credibility, and also convening power, and there was almost a plea from the technical level for the UN to better use that power that they have vis-a-vis leaders. So sometimes the technical nutrition level in government felt they can't reach that level, but the UN has the capacity. So a call on UN to sort of better use its position to advocate, to raise funds, and to build capacity. There was also a call to support both the governance, nutrition, as well as technical level, and really a call to stop confusing governments. There was a serious conversation about how many governments are a little overwhelmed by the different mandates and the different approaches from the UN, and can't you speak with one voice? And in that sense, I think we heard, and we talked a lot about having joint nutrition actions, UN being clear how within the government framework they're assisting, and be able to move forward in a more coherent and consolidated way with one voice. And so I think we really heard. There was a lot of discussion finally on the need to share knowledge, and I think there was a call also for support in sharing of knowledge at global, regional, and country level, and in that sense, I think I sensed a great appreciation for this meeting, which allows, I think, has allowed us to go into some depth into the different discussions.
Thank you very much indeed, Nancy. And I'd just like to say that in this room we have many leaders from the UN, and the great thing is that they have come together. I don't know where he is, Francesco Branca, if you're here, I thank you for your leadership, plus your colleagues in other agencies. And the way you're working together, I think we're watching this and we're very, very grateful. Another group that's come together in an extraordinary way is the donor group. And we have two people from the donor group here. One person is actually new to the donor group. He has been working in the civil society, and he's only really just come into the donors. Another has been leading from the donor side consistently and with incredible energy right through from the start. Let's go first to Sean Baker. Sean, si vous voulez parler en français, c'est bon, mais si vous voulez parler en anglais aussi, c'est bon. Your reflections as a kind of new donor on the last 2 days.
Okay, thank you, David. And since you introduced me as new to the donor group, I'm actually going to take the liberty of speaking to an obsession of mine, even though both Bibi and Nancy have already spoken to it. I think that what I was particularly pleased about is that what I've seen as one of the orphan interventions has actually come front and center these last 2 days, be it in the lead group, the donor network, or very certainly in this global gathering, and that is capacity building. I think if you step back and, for example, take some inspiration from the HIV movement, it wasn't just throwing money at the problem, it was serious, purposeful investment in capacity across the system. What I see as capacity is having the right people with the right training in the right places with the right enabling environment to do the right things. And I was incredibly inspired by President Kikwete from Tanzania to see that incredible commitment to get a nutritionist in every district. So that...
Here we go.
And I think that be it donors, be it national governments, we need to take this much more seriously and purposely. Thank you.
Sean, thank you very much indeed. I mean, it's great that capacity, and he's very specific on what kind of capacities are needed, and in super specific on responding to the requests from countries. Thank you, Sean. Now we come to Anna. Anna, your reflections on the last 2 days.
Thanks, David.
And then, if you want, on the last year. I mean, your life has been turned upside down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I've been really lucky to have been part of the process from the beginning, and I think my reflections are that this meeting for me has marked a kind of new phase in the movement. I think we've won a lot of the battles on political momentum. I know some of you are still facing those at the country level, but there's been a huge distance traveled really in the last 3 years, and I've been really struck at this meeting by the sort of the sophisticated nature of our conversation, really. We're kind of stuck now into the really hard stuff around delivery and the challenges of doing that well, you know, in keeping with the spirits of multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder. And I was in the financial tracking session yesterday, and I really inspired hearing Feru talk about the process in Ethiopia of mapping out what everybody was doing and what it was costing and where the gaps were, and likewise from Obe about the public spending review in Tanzania and how the complexities of tracking the financing going through multiple levels. And then also hearing what Juan Pablo was talking about from Peru with the whole sort of incentive structure, which is simple when he described it, but quite sophisticated as well in terms of how you construct that across government. And I think that's been my big takeaway, was we're really stuck into the difficult stuff now, and it's really challenging, and there's so much value in cross-country experience, and you know, I think we need to start grappling more strongly with the question of how we facilitate that country-to-country exchange more. You know, I think that's really something we've got to grab hold of now and find ways to do it. And the other thing which has been a good challenge for the donor network is this point that you started with, David, around the key to unlock the resources. And I think there are probably multiple keys. I think we need to get better at communicating what they are and working them out. But I think that's a really good challenge for us in the donor network to take away so that we come back to you much more with a much clearer set of information about that process. So for me, it's been great. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Anna.
Secretariat.
Right. These people have been very much involved in the movement in their different ways for 3 years. Now it's your turn. If you don't mind, if you feel like it, share your reflections, but share them in a way that helps us all identify priorities for the next year. If you catch my eye, we'll get the microphone to you. Who would like to start? Okay, right. A bit up on the left, just inside from Ellen Piwas, is Zia. Zia, you have the floor. Can we get the microphone to you? Chayu is bringing it. Chayu's his birthday yesterday. He's now 26 years and 1 day old. Congratulations, Chayu. And he did all the stuff in the compendium virtually single-handed. Thank you, Chayu. Zia.
Thanks, David. Yeah, of course. I mean, the Sun movement during the last 3 years, you know, when you travel around the countries, one thing is very clear that it created, you know, excellent movement. I mean, a lot of movement, a lot of awareness, interest at the top level of the government. I think we are...
You're all right. I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah. I think we're pretty much successful in terms of, you know, engaging with sectors like health. Now we are more engaging with agriculture. But one thing I personally feel also, I don't know, maybe my colleagues will agree, that we haven't done much in terms of engaging with the Ministry of Finances, you know, who in fact is the major player in the country to make sure the country takes nutrition as a serious business, as a serious investment case. I think we need to do more at that level to make sure that happens. Otherwise, you know, doesn't matter how much funding is flowing from outside donors, we'll be still continue to contribute to the fragmented programming. You know, we'll still continue to contribute to short-term horizon of nutrition programming. So to the Sun Secretariat, I think that one of the next steps would be to understand how we can, you know, create language, the narratives, which are very much understood by our colleagues who are sitting in the finance ministries and non-nutrition, non-health, non-agriculture community as well. Thank you.
Zia, you're with the World Bank, and there's Mira here somewhere. There's Leslie here. We had Keith Hansen here yesterday. Is the bank finding it easier to engage ministers of finance on nutrition as the years go by, or is it still a big hassle? And have you got some 2 or 3 suggestions for us all on how to get the ministries of finance involved? And others of you, if you've got thoughts about ministries of finance, if you're from a ministry of finance, let us know, because I've heard this quite a lot during the last couple of days, how to get the ministries of finance in. Zia first, and if you catch my eye, somebody else, make a face. Yeah, okay, you after Zia. After Zia, it's you, sir. I just can't recognize. It's like being on a stage. Zia first, and then row in front next to Lola. Yeah.
Indeed, David. I mean, we've been seeing changes at the country level. But what I said is not enough. And it's not just Ministry of Finance. I would also, since I'm coming from the World Bank, you know, sometimes we feel even more difficulty at our country management unit level. I mean, how do you make sure that the World Bank country director, you know, also is deeply engaged and convinced that nutrition is a priority and we need to make investment. And of course, this is interrelated. I mean, if you have a finance minister who talks for nutrition, then there's no way that bank or, you know, other financing agencies wouldn't go for that. So this is something interconnected and we need to think about it.
Very clear. Okay, turn on the finance minister, then the World Bank has to take notice, and others as well. Come in.
Not on the World Bank, but the reflection on the 2 days. I think one of the things that I can say is, first of all, congratulations to you. Nutrition, I think it's taking a different stages from what we have seen in the 2 days. But one thing that is still remaining is to build that nutrition consciousness among different players, different stakeholders, so that we start translating. For now, what we have is just probably rhetoric. We have the plans, but we have not yet secured resources in different countries. So we need to build that consciousness so that even when we have little resources, nutrition is among those that would want to fund. Thank you.
Very clear. Very clear. And now we're going over to Kausar from Bangladesh. I do have difficulty in seeing everybody. It is just the nature of the light. So if I don't get your name right, forgive me and just say it correctly. And then we're going to go back. Kausar, please. Keep standing. A couple of minutes.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm Kausar Afsana. I'm from Bangladesh. I work at BRAC. And of course, I'm representing Civil Society Alliance for Sun in Bangladesh. I think one of the things is really important, as you mentioned, that what you want to in the upcoming years, I think the capacity to deliver. The capacity is really important in terms of, as Ziauddin Haider mentioned about the Ministry of Finance, but even the efficiency to use that money, that this is really, really important in most of the developing countries. So I would like to push on the issue of enhancing the capacity to deliver and to use the money efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kausar. Would you like to go back? Again, Shayu, up that side. There's a lady with her hand up behind.
Thank you. Felicite from UNICEF Regional Office in Dakar. I mean, it was really 2 nice days. I've been in the movement from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think that my reflection is that we need to work more on the decentralization process. I think that if we want to deal with multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder, many countries are in doing decentralization. How can we work and support that so that nutrition is in those plans? The second thing for me is how do we make sure that we assess what is happening at a country level, especially in the implementation. We need really to have a kind of independent and whatever we're going to assess in terms of implementation what works and what doesn't work, so that we can have this sharing among the different countries. We are here today. We hear about the progress, but what is really happening on the ground? We need really to get a grasp of that. And then the second thing, the last thing, it's we need to engage. We talk a lot about now new actors, media people, for instance, but the member of parliament in our country are important because they are the one looking at the budget tracking and all that, and we need to engage with them. Those are my few reflections.
Decentralization, implementation, efficiency. Parliamentarians, 3 key things. Luis Enrique, you are there. Fala, español. Luis Enrique.
Muchas gracias, muy buenas tardes a todas y todos. Algo importante, muy importante que se está viviendo en Guatemala es que en principio se aspiraba a la voluntad política. Ya se tiene voluntad política, ya se tiene presupuesto detrás de la voluntad política porque hay 700% más recursos para la ventana de los 1000 días y el movimiento Zoom. Ya se tiene elemento humano, se ha quintuplicado el elemento humano en el terreno. ¿Qué falta en este momento para Guatemala y muy probablemente para muchos otros países? Gerencia pública, la capacidad de gerencia pública en el funcionariado, porque es importante el aprovechamiento de ese recurso, pero si no hay gerencia y capacidad de gerenciar recurso humano y de gerenciar recurso financiero, difícilmente se va a llegar al campo y al terreno como se ha planteado. Es un reto para nuestro país y muy probablemente sea un reto para otros países. Funcionarios públicos con capacidades gerenciales.
Perfect. I mean, I don't know how well it came through on the translation, but it's super important, the way in which Luis Enrique explains this. He did it last night, he's done it again now. We will keep one microphone from Luis Enrique coming down. There's several people with their hands up, but we go now to Yemen. You have the microphone now. I don't know where it is. And we'll keep another microphone going around here. Try to keep it tight. 1 minute. Over to you.
Okay. It's less than 1 minute. I'm just speaking about some ideas about how can we deal with ministers or ministries of finance. My colleague from the bank that said if the Minister of Finance is speaking about the importance of nutrition, that's the bank can follow or they can create. Also, at the same time, there is an annual meetings for ministers of finance that took place in DC. And they spent, I think, a long time. It's the longest time that they spent in these annual meetings between ministers of finance and the bank and IMF. If the bank and the IMF also use this opportunity to sensitize ministers of finance at that meetings, I think would be very helpful. Thanks.
Leslie's in front of you. Just pass Leslie the microphone. Leslie, do you agree? Or Mira, or whoever's nearby.
No, it's a very good suggestion.
Leslie from the World Bank.
And in fact, this week, or sorry, at this year's annual meetings, we will indeed have a side event along with USAID talking about maternal child health and nutrition. And we were inviting ministers of finance to speak so that they're at the table. And in fact, we're engaging with Yemen on that too.
Okay, great. Thank you, Leslie.
You said I wasn't looking at you. Okay, thank you very much. I'm Chief Fonga Lange Romanos, Chairman of the Non-State Actors Coordination Tax Team of CADEP. I think there is no shadow of doubt that the current nutrition architecture is a global health problem. And if it is justified by the way countries are coming on board. If I'm permitted to compare it with the CADEP process, after 10 years, it took some countries close to 8 years, 7 years before engaging in the CADEP process. And I must tell you that the momentum that is coming up in the SON movement is something that is so special, if I may compare it with the CADEP process, which is a commitment that came from head of government and head of state themselves. And so I want to give an example of a situation where the CADEP process is doing a similar thing. SON is doing a similar thing, because the SON framework happens to be that which will influence policies that will open doors for a broad and inclusive approach in development drives. And I want to say that in Cameroon recently, in the CADEP country team, the parliamentarians who are on the team and the representative of the sectorial ministry decided to organize an advocacy plan with the parliament ahead of the voting of the budget by the end of this year. And so I just want to say that the same inclusive approach that is being practiced in SON can lead us to having our government directing a lot of money in specific budgetary lines linked to nutrition. Back to the donors, it is clear that good initiatives, good intentions alone cannot bring to bear meaningful development. And I'm happy that the Donors Club is very much alive. Where my fears are is like, you're certainly going to stop when just a few countries have been supported. I want to call and advocate for a degree of dynamism in your club, and also to be aware of the fact that when through 10 countries begin, a lot of the donors will come in and join you. Thank you very much.
There you go, they're crowding in. And it's a 10-year agenda. Let's everybody recognize there's going to be no rest for at least 10 years, in case you were hoping you would get some. Lots of people want to speak up the top there. Who wants to speak over this side? I'm going to take 3 or 4, and then we'll go into the other group. How about Procasor coming in now? If you can get a mic to Procasor in the middle of the aisle. It's about, you know when you're in the cinema and somebody's getting out to go to the loo or something, it's a bit like that. Off you go. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, David Navarro. Gracias a todos, mi nombre es Maya Peltola y vengo representando a una organización que se llama Procasur, que tiene su sede en Chile, y somos una organización sureña que desde 1996 trabajamos en gestión de conocimiento, y realmente somos un knowledge broker, y aquí lo que me ha llamado muchísimo la atención, he estado aquí como observando todos los intercambios en varias sesiones, y me ha llamado la atención la necesidad de hacer viajar ese saber hacer que muchos ya tienen. Entonces, ¿cómo nosotros desde Procasur también les podemos ayudar a todo el movimiento y a los diversos organizaciones, gobiernos, diferentes miembros de este movimiento tan lindo, de hacer esos intercambios? Eso es donde nosotros podemos quizás ayudarles y dar algunas pistas. Pero muchísimas gracias, les quiero felicitar por estos intercambios.
Perfect.
Buenos.
Now, there are 5 or 6 people who want to talk. We're still focusing on the next year. I want a microphone to come in here, please, Eleanor. You can see the hands. Very quick. Off you go. Hello.
Sí.
Hola.
Buenas tardes. Daisy de Márquez, de El Salvador. Se ha hablado mucho y yo estoy totalmente de acuerdo de la importancia de que los primeros ministros y los presidentes estén muy conscientes de la importancia de la nutrición para el crecimiento de los países, pero especialmente del desarrollo del capital humano. A mí me parece que sería muy interesante que en los próximos años el movimiento Zoom, con esta capacidad que tiene de convocatoria, con la capacidad de sensibilización y pensamiento estratégico, pudieran trabajar con este grupo de líderes del más alto nivel de los países que especialmente tienen altos niveles de desnutrición. Me parece que es importante trabajar con los ministros de finanzas, pero trabajar con los presidentes y primeros ministros sería fundamental.
Thank you, Daisy. Now listen, one of the things that was very strong were the sessions on advocacy, yesterday especially. And in a way, what you've done is taken the discussion from thinking about who needs to be there to thinking about how to thinking about advocacy. And that's very important. 3 more comments and then we're going to shift panels. I can see, Madam, here, just names not possible. There you are, Elena. Thank you. Madam.
Thank you very much. I'm Beans Governors from Namibia.
That's right, yes.
Yes. I'm glad that you talked about advocacy because I think during the last 2 days it was very clear that what are the key messages that we want to get out. How coherent are we? Because a lot of people are talking about nutrition and you immediately think of Ministry of Health. Is it because of the way in which we package the issues of nutrition? Or should it be in such a way that it is relevant to the different sectors? It is one thing to talk about multi-sectoral approaches, but it is important that education or agriculture, everyone must identify with nutrition, and unless we send out clear messages that nutrition is not a health issue. But I think the point that was made by the Chief Executive Officer of NEPAD rings true to me. At the end of the day, it's not just the question of making an economic case for nutrition. It is making a social justice case for nutrition. It is about social inequalities and social exclusion in many of our countries that leads to the deprivation. So how do we in the next year, as SAN, make a case and make a case very strongly that really relates to the issues of social justice and social inclusion, as the Chief Executive Officer of NEPAD reminded us.
Hold that. Perfect. Thank you, Madam Guanas. Keeping on this line, I've got 2 other people to speak. I'd like to come first to His Excellency Yaya Olaneran. Yaya, if you could stand up, please. This gentleman is very important. He is the chair of the Committee on World Food Security. He has made a big effort to bring together agriculture, food security, and nutrition. Yaya, help us through this. You have a minute or so now. Going to Jennifer Rigg after you at the back row, and then we will shift from this panel to the next. Yaya, please. Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
Come and stand next to me, come on.
Okay, David.
Only because you wear beautiful hats. You know, some of us wear ties. He wears a beautiful hat.
Thank you, David. Let me say this. This has been a very, very robust, interactive meeting that is focused. And I love it because it relates to what we are doing at the Committee of World Food Security, bringing different multi-stakeholders together to reason out the way forward. I agree with all that has been said. And I also want to add that we have a unique opportunity here. Minister of Finance, yes. But how about Minister of Education, Minister of Agriculture, Water Resources, Trade and Industry, and all of them? The advantage that we have to take, and this goes to the coordinator of the UN agencies. Each of these ministries have a UN component that can also bear on the different ministers and, in general, the SG upon the head of states and head of governments. We need everybody to be on board. We need not only the federal government, regional government, but the local governments, where the people that we are committed to are. I believe it is doable, and we all have to work together to get it done. Thank you.
Gaia, thank you very much. So the plenary meeting of the Committee on World Food Security is 7th to 11th of October. Please try to make sure that if you have friends or colleagues or bosses or staff who are going to that meeting, make sure they bring nutrition into the CFS. Under the leadership of Yaya, it's starting to happen. It just needs a bit of extra push, right? You don't mind me saying that? Okay, Jennifer Rigg. Jennifer, 1,000 Days Partnership, very, very much involved in advocacy. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. I wanted to pick up on these threads quickly on the reaching our friends in the ministries of finance and those who hold specific access to resources. The ideas that have been raised are terrific. There was a wonderful golden thread that was provided earlier at the donor network conversation, the second one today. And just wanted to give voice to that and put it out there as an idea for all to consider and pick up for the coming year. As we're thinking about the year of agriculture celebrated at the AU level next year, and as many have wisely said, it should really be the year of nutrition and agriculture. There's an opportunity to learn from our friends in agriculture, health, and other areas, and consider if perhaps there should be a target, both in terms of a funding target for nutrition, but also it could tie very nicely with the acceleration target for really achieving the World Health Assembly nutrition targets. As we learned from the Lancet in June in paper number 4, unfortunately, if we do nothing and the status quo means that we will not, as a global community, reach the World Health Assembly nutrition targets by 2025. We must accelerate. Nutrition for Growth leaders gave us an opportunity to do so between now and 2016 and 2020, thanks to leadership from many of you in this room. So I put this on the floor for consideration, not just within the AU, but also maybe this would be within the CFS, maybe within other regional bodies, so that we could truly provide an opportunity for mutual accountability and the opportunity to together raise these resources for effective usage for scaling up nutrition. And then secondly—
I'm going to stop you in about 2 seconds because you're talking a lot.
Pardon me, David. I'll pass it to my colleague, but just a plea from our colleagues with the U.S. government to also consider the way we can work together on nutrition and post-2015, the topic at hand at UNGA this year and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Now, let's just pull it all together. You have had rich experiences. You have talked about multi-sectoral working. You have talked about involving ministers of finance. You've talked about a total cross-government approach. You've talked about advocacy, parliamentarians. You've talked about how different parts of the global system can work for this: civil society, UN, business, donors. It's kind of a big agenda, but at least it shows us where we've got to go. I go across the panel now. one idea that you will do for the whole Sun movement over the next year? Not so much a commitment, but at least an aspiration. Sean?
I'd like to try and align Grow Africa with Sun. I think I can try and help to make that commitment. But my thing for this year is also if the Sun Secretariat could really look at if it could create a virtual platform where you're really using modern technology, where you're facilitating a dialogue as you go forward, you know, through dynamic sort of email exchanges.
Sean, that's two things. One, I said.
Okay, so that's the challenge for this year.
I can't ask Jennifer to and then let you get away with it.
So virtual platform.
That's enough. Come on. It's just otherwise we'll never finish. Marie, vous avez la parole. Il faut
Quelle est la question?
Une chose que vous allez faire pendant les prochains ans pour le mouvement Sun.
I will help young people in Côte d'Ivoire to build their own agribusiness, at least one or two agribusiness.
There you go. That's very clear. Merci. Très gentil. Merci. Excusez-moi. Asma.
Through my role in the Civil Society Network Steering Committee, really focusing on the issue of advocacy and how we can take it from the global level and right down to the district level.
And that is a really clear thing. Civil Society Network, advocacy.
I will work to better respond to the needs and requests that I heard today, and working within the UN and the UN network to be better partners and supporters.
There you go. Thank you.
For me, as a die-hard person working across so many sectors, I'll continue to agitate for better and effective multi-sector coordination, whatever it takes.
Wow. Anna.
We've agreed in the donor network that we're going to do a big push on trying to address the gaps in donor convening at the country level in the countries which don't yet have donor conveners, and also improve the quality of donor convening across the countries.
Donor convening. Thank you, Anna. NK.
Capacity to deliver, decentralization, virtual platforms, all these are emerging. But how would that be done is a question. And my thinking is that establishment of regional resource centers may facilitate all that. Regional resource center for Asia, Africa, Latin America, whatever is feasible.
So NK is going to establish regional resource centers all over the world. Thank you, sir. Emon.
Oh, yes. Next year is important. I think I should say something about our Myanmar delegation. Next year, 2014, Myanmar will share the ASEAN Summit. And we have been discussing already to work on one-day high-level meeting on nutrition for the ASEAN leaders next year, 2014.
See you in Naypyidaw, everybody. Where's the Myanmar delegation? Where are you? They are standing up at the back. Welcome to you. You are so welcome. Thank you. Sean.
I think that 2014 in Africa has an incredible opportunity with the African Union's attention to agriculture, and I'd like to work with Bibi and Prime Minister Mayaki to make sure it is the year of African agriculture and nutrition.
Thank you, everybody. So this is our looking forward to next year. And that was super rich. Our panel are marvelous. We're going to thank them. But before we do it, I just go on to our last panel. Our colleagues in the Secretariat who've worked on this, preparing for this global gathering for many months, are really keen that you fill out the evaluation form, fill it out, and please hand it to us before you leave. We will consider that we have failed if we don't have an 85% response rate. So even if you don't fill in everything, please give us a response, because this is critical for helping us decide what we will do next year. We're going to go shortly into the last panel. Before we do so, could I ask you please to give a fantastic thank you to this wonderful group of people here. Beautiful people. Thank you. So 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to change over. Do not leave. If you leave, you'll find the doors are locked.
Pour ceux qui ne savent pas où elle est, la feuille d'évaluation, c'est la dernière page du petit recueil de documents qu'on vous a donné avec le programme et les détails par breakout session. Dernière page.
All this will be written up. All of this will come to you. All of this will be available for you. You will be able to call each other to account about all of this. This is the next year. Now we're going one stage further. We're visioning the movement in 5 years. And to help us do this, I've asked some members of the lead group, plus some who are representing lead group members, to join us. Could I invite Ibu Nina, are you here? Come, please. If I'm rude, you just have to excuse me. It's just late in the day. Nahas Angula, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ibu Nina, please. Thank you. Ibu Nina. Ibu is a respectful term for lady, like Pa is man. So Ibu Nina, respected lady. Thank you. Nahas, Pa Nahas. Thank you very much indeed. We had both of them with us yesterday morning. It seems right they should be here. Could we now have Jay Naidu? Jay? Michael Anderson? Jay, would you like to come here? Michael, here. Thank you very much indeed. Michael. Thank you, Jay. Okay. We're a bit male. Keith Besenson, are you here? Come. He didn't know. Come on, Keith. And could you bring Vanita as well, please? Yeah, it was a bit surprising. Sorry for that. Jean-Pierre Hauquin. Benita, could you come next to Jay? Jean-Pierre? Yeah. Thank you. Tom Arnold, please, and Werner Schulting. Okay. Now, these ladies and gentlemen are either members of our lead group or they are substituting for members of our lead group. During the next 6 to 9 months, we have to be looking ahead to the future of the movement. I'm going to ask each person here for 1 or 2 minutes to give their view of the future based on what they've heard today. They can be rough and we will not be defensive. They can be extremely bold and we will not be scared. They can say exactly what they like and we will listen to them because they are our leaders. And then we'll ask them some questions and then you can be as tough or as rough as you like because we need to hear your view. We have 1 hour for this. For us, it is really important because it will help us to shape the future. Have we got a microphone or 2? Yeah. I'm going to start at one end and then go to the other. I have not yet worked out which end I'm going to start. Where shall I start, with Werner or Tom? Tom. Somebody said Tom. Tom, you have an admirer.
Thank you.
Tom Arnold, he did say a few things. He's got some fantastic jobs. He has been a real source of inspiration, as has each one of these people. Tom, your view of the future.
David, thanks. Well, you know, yesterday at the lead group meeting, Sir Abid of BRAC said something which I thought was very important, thinking in terms of, you know, the need for long-term commitment to achieve anything. And he gave the example of child survival. And he talked about this wasn't a 1 year or a 2 year thing, it was actually a 30-year project. But if you look at what happened over those 30 years, the number of children dying every year fell from 20 million in 1980, and now it's between 6 and 7 million. And I think what we have in the Sun movement is the possibility to achieve in this area of nutrition more rapid progress than has been achieved in child survival. And there's three essential elements. And firstly, and they each feed and reinforce each other. First is political will, trying to make sure that the high level of political will expressed by leaders is reinforced and feeds upon itself and in a sense, examples are shown to each other politicians. The second key thing is, I think, in order to achieve progress, a really good quality policy framework at national level is absolutely essential. And the third element is, and this is where we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, it's what Anna spoke about in the last session, we're now at the level of implementation. And all the grind of implementation is going to be there. But most importantly, we have within the Sun framework of 42 countries, the possibility to start learning from each other. And it is an intensive, if you like, and the Secretariat has a key role to play in this. But equally, a gathering like this has its learning, but it's also a great commitment to enthuse. I mean, this enthusiasm that we have here in the last 2 days, the inspiration that people will take away from this meeting is also a critical part as people go back to their own countries and plan for the future.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Listen, I'm actually going to now go to Werner. I'll tell you why. Because Werner's here representing Tony Lake, but he's also got his own role. And then we will go to Werner, and then we will go to Keith, and then we will go to Jean-Pierre, gradually moving towards the middle when Ibu Nina and Pak Nahas will give us their views. Werner, please.
Thank you very much, David. I would like to speak on two issues. First, a bit an aspirational issue, and then, like Tom also mentioned, a bit more on the practical issues. First of all, I think over the next 5 years, I think it's absolutely crucial that we maintain the Sun movement as a movement and not go too much towards a bureaucracy, an institutionalized organization. I think it's very important to realize that in many parts of the world today, big changes in society, which we need for nutrition. For example, breastfeeding should become the norm in a society. It shouldn't be an issue for a small percentage of women. In order to get big changes in society, often it doesn't come from governments anymore, it comes from the ground up. How do we do this? How can we harness such changes? How can we make use of modern communication, technology, possibilities to create such a wave from the bottom up? And I think that is going to be a big challenge for us. Secondly, on the more practical issues. We talked a lot about advocacy, also during the previous panel discussion. And certainly because of highly effective advocacy, we've created an enormous amount of interest. But the interest of today may wane very soon. And I absolutely believe that the only way we can maintain interest is by demonstrating that we can create results. And from a practical point of view, I think over the coming years, the Sun movement needs to be better at doing a systematic analysis of country requests and tailoring possible support to these requests. Now it is not done, I think, systematically enough. Also very important, we need to realize that the level of stunting and other forms of undernutrition, including overweight, depends on the local epidemiology from country to country. So we need to better tailor and sharpen our national interventions, our geographic interventions, to that specific situation. That also still is not done enough. The final point, David, we need to become better at sharing lessons and success stories. There also, we need both media, advocacy, and a wider set of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Werner. There's a fair agenda of work there over the next 5 years, and that is super helpful. Keith Berenson, together with Paul Eisenman, who's up the top, been hugely important in some of the early thinking around the Sun movement. Keith, your thoughts of the next 5 years?
Thank you, David. That's a tall order for 5 years. But okay, hold the mic close. Another instruction from David. Look, I think we are in a very, very good space. We're in a space now which, if you go back 3 years, and Asma pretty well said it, there were a great many skeptics that said this would not be done, that nutrition would never move onto the geopolitical stage. Well, it's pretty close to being onto the geopolitical stage today. And that's a great accomplishment, and everybody here has contributed to that. This is something to celebrate. And what's happened here this week, this last 2 days, gives us real reason to think that what we've done not only is important, that it's moved from where people said it was impossible to where we are today, but that there's enormous potential now to take it forward. That's my take-home message from this. But I also agree with Werner when he said, look, if we don't go forward and show results, he used, then we may find ourselves in trouble. I'm going to go just one step further than Werner. I think we know the political mind. It's a very short attention span. We have that attention now. We will lose it unless we deliver. So I think there are 3 words for the next 5 years, David: delivery, delivery, delivery. And it's that simple. But what do you deliver and what do you focus on first? Well, I think that that Sean Baker said this in the earlier panel. What he said is there's a real need to help with building capacity that's durable and appropriate. We don't have that mechanism in place now. We've talked about it. It's potentially out there, but it's got to be formed and supported. I think David the Sun has a very central role in bringing that into being, working across all the constituencies, but finding where that excellence and capacity is and how it may be mobilized, financed, and placed at the disposal of those who need it. That would be priority number 1 for me. And priority 2 is we have different constituencies working in different areas. This generates expectations, and expectations can spin out of control very quickly. We have a donor group working as donors to coordinate. But the lack of clarity as to what donors will be able to do and not be able to do is a potential source of distrust. So I would hope in the next year to 18 months that the energy the donors have put into this can consolidate into clear messages of what they can do, where they can do it, and when. They will not solve undernutrition or malnutrition, but they can be catalysts to it if the funding they have is targeted in areas that make a difference under the clear rubric of country ownership and alignment. So I would hope the next 18 months we're going to move beyond the discourse we've had, which has been very constructive and very important, and we will be able to make clear statements from the donors as actors in this, but not the most important actors, as to what they can and cannot do. And finally, I would say, David, in this regard, we do need a results framework. We have to show what the sun is going to produce to sustain it. You're pretty close in the report you've produced this year, but it's not a clear sun results framework. I would urge that be the very highest thing on your agenda for the next 18 months.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this. Three things, really. Capacity, predictable support, and a tighter results framework. Jean-Pierre Halquin, your commissioner, Andris Piebalgs, in a way showed incredible leadership last year when he committed the Commission to supporting an outcome. In a way, some of the things that Keith has just mentioned, your impressions and your thoughts about the next 5 years.
Thank you, David. Indeed, my Commissioner Piebalgs, is extremely committed and is believing that we can achieve the goal defined by the World Health Assembly. My feeling after those 2 days is that he's not alone believing that. We are all believing that this goal is doable. And we're also all aware that we can reach it, we can accelerate progress if we are doing a few things more than what we do today. It is not just by doing more of the same that we can do this acceleration. And we see challenges ahead on different aspects. One is about policies. Policies at global level, we've been speaking about the post-2015 agenda, but also, and most importantly, policies at national level. That's something very important for many ministries. Embarking on supporting nutrition is something very different than what has been done before. In particular, for ministries, for instance, like ministries for agriculture, where sometimes we have been putting a lot of focus on productivity, but not so much on making sure that we have an impact on nutrition. The second point, which is very important, is also developing the absorption capacity, because we have been speaking about making sure that the donors are going to deliver. I hope, and I'm confident they will deliver, but we know that money can be well spent only if absorption capacity is there. We speak about absorption capacity of all stakeholders. Government have to be on board, national administration, but also we should not neglect the CSOs, professional organizations, farmers organizations. They all have a role to play. And if money has to be well spent and to go through that, it's very important that they're on board. Next point is synergies. The sun is really the place where we are discussing nutrition. And it is well connected with other nutrition-related initiatives. We have been speaking about the 1,000 Day, which was so helpful to put nutrition forward, Nutrition for Growth also, but there are other relevant initiatives, like CADEP. We need to be sure that we use most of the CADEP progress to be sure that agriculture contributes to nutrition. There is also research. There is also Grow Africa. I can list all the international initiatives, also like the New Alliance for Food Security and Nutrition in Africa, which also has to be clearly connected to this point. Then also, one very important issue for us is also getting evidences. Evidences of what is working and not working. We have now a very strong corpus of evidences for what we do in the field of health. We have less evidences for major sectors like agriculture, social protection, for instance, water, sanitation. We need to get more information. We need to share that so that at the end of the process, we use resources in the most efficient way. And then for me, the last point, which is also very important, it is accountability and defining goals. It will be more efficient and easier to engage if we have the right accountability framework, but also if whenever they are designing policies, governments are also committing to a target where they clearly show an acceleration of the current annual actual reduction rate of undernutrition. Because we know that current progress will not do the trick, so we expect improvement there. And this is something where really we can also commit donors to ensure that things are changing, that we are doing more than in the past. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much, everybody. Acceleration. Policies. capacity in civil society, farmers' organizations, professional groups. Synergies, agriculture, maternal and child health, water sanitation. CADEP, which is the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. A call for more evidence and accountability. These are serious requests and involve the whole movement, but are a reflection, I think, of the European Commission's commitment. Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Now, Venita, you gave us some thoughts when we opened. You've been with us right through. Could you reflect a little bit on your own views for the next 5 years? Venita Bali.
Yeah, so, I think sitting through the discussions was extremely helpful. And I've actually come up with 5 points for the next 5 years. The first is moving from, a lot of talk and sharing to what I call focused action. The second point really would be about driving the multi-sectoral synergies that we've all talked about. The third thing would be to measure the effectiveness of outcomes. So basically, everything that we do has to be focused on delivering the right and effective outcomes. The fourth really is about sharing knowledge and success. As I sat and heard about what is happening in Tanzania and Malawi and so many other countries and Bangladesh, etc., one of the things that came across to me is how good are we at sharing what works, how it works, why it works, and actually replicating, adapting, or adopting it to more and more countries. So that would be the fourth thing. The fifth really is probably a request for you, David, and that is, what do we have to do to make nutrition center stage? The reason why I talk about that is one of the things that came across very loudly and clearly was wherever there is success, it comes from political will and involvement of at the highest level, whether it is the head of the country. And that involvement of political will, ideally, we should see in nutrition being an item on the agenda at the General Assembly sessions that happened in New York, actually during this week, where we've got all the heads of states, so that nutrition becomes center stage. And we talk about nutrition with the same concern, with the same sincerity, with the same commitment as we talk about other problems impacting the world that we live in. So, SUN was created by the Secretary General. It was launched by the Secretary General. If we believe that we want to see huge progress occurring in this area, looking at it from a multi-sectoral lens, I do believe that the heads of the countries have to commit themselves, they have to spend their time. We must share with them the outcomes that have been delivered in each of the countries and create an equal movement, with the political leadership as we have right here.
Thank you, Venita. There's a lot that you just said, but I felt the real sense of a movement of movements that creates the political will underpinned by measurement, by synergies, and by sharing of knowledge. This is a very clear agenda, and you can see, everybody, we're building a real agenda for the next 5 years. In a minute, you get a chance to give your inputs. We're going to have time because people are being very disciplined. Et si vous voulez parler en français ou parler espagnol, c'est bon. À ce moment, on est un peu en anglais, mais on peut changer. Michael Anderson recently moved from being with the British government and DFID to being now the Chief Executive Officer of CIF, the Children's Investment Fund Foundation. Michael, you have the floor.
David, thank you. You asked about the vision for 5 years from now. So my vision is, I'm going to quickly sketch it out. So we meet 5 years from now in a venue here in New York. And we look back and we'd say, gosh, that 2013 meeting was really an important turning point where we consolidated, and 2013 was a year in which there was a huge push on nutrition. The SUN movement, we look back, was extended beyond 2015, and it stayed a movement that was basically about coordination. It didn't become an institution, so it didn't turn into a bureaucracy with kind of fighting its own turf, but it continued to be an entity that mobilized people across sectors and areas. But also, we look back and see the Sun movement was able to change. It started off with a lot of advocacy, and it shifted much more into implementation and results over time, and that part of the progress was it needed to morph into something else. We see the Sun became an organization really known for pace and for solving problems, that core matchmaking function of matching resources to needs and putting together, but that grew and became more effective. It became something that happened very quickly. So when a country, when a ministry said, we have this national plan, but we desperately need some help getting it costed, it wasn't the case that all donors just looked at their toes, but that in fact there was a process to decide, okay, who's going to help with this? How are we going to do it? And it happened within weeks. So that Sun became characterized by pace and implementation and strong measurement. 5 years from now, we look back and say, isn't it terrific? We have this global nutrition report where we track things globally, what the results are, but also at the country level and even the subnational level. We look back 5 years and say, gosh, now that we have more than 110 countries in the movement, our ways of working had to change slightly. We couldn't all sit down together and be quite so informal. We needed to change our structures and systems a bit. In 5 years, we recognized we really put people at the center of what Sun is doing, not institutions and mandates and rivalries and coordination, but people and a focus on what are we doing to actually achieve the results. 5 years from now, we look out and we saw that we got alignment and extended the nutrition agenda into WASH, into MNCH, into agriculture, and that was a big part of the success. And 5 years from now, we have world leaders recognizing that nutrition is important not only because it's good for people, but because it's really important for growth. And it's really important for creating the resilience to facing a world that is going to be racked by climate change and other challenges. So I think we're going to look back at an organization that worked very, very hard by the determination of the people in this room and others that managed to change over time, remain nimble and flexible, didn't get bureaucratized, and maintained a sense of purpose. And especially 5 years from now, I look forward to celebrating your 40th birthday, David, when we have a big party.
There you go. Michael, thank you very much indeed. That was real oratory, and I think we all loved it. Just can we check, interpreters, was he too quick, or could you translate? Anyway, let's, if you didn't hear it all, we will write it down and play it back. Thank you, Michael. Jay Naidu. Jay, you had a key role when we started. You actually departed from the script and went monologue. Would you like to come to the front, stand up, and give us your closing monologue now? Thank you very much.
You know, I follow your directions.
He's a good friend. We like each other, but he's also completely uncontrollable.
We had a term that was called ungovernable, and I think that's what we expect from you, to be ungovernable. And, you know, I'm an old man now, and one thing I know in my life, it's not my job to lead anything. So I spend most of my life traveling around townships, slums, and villages, listening to young people. And what I hear from young people is what my sister Beyonce Gawana said earlier, that our problem is political. It is not technical. When 8,000 children die a day, that's equivalent to almost 3 World Trade Centers. That is political. And I think if we do not understand that to get involved in politics, you have to take risks, then we are wasting our time, because there will be big risks to take. And so I'm saying is that our biggest challenge that we face is how do we get young people involved in building this movement? Because old people like me don't take risks. And so we have to change our narrative to be able to capture their imagination. And I think that is an imagination that focuses on the question of justice, because it is not just if young children are dying of causes that we could prevent. And I think that's my starting point. Half the population of Africa is under 19. Now, how are you going to convince them that nutrition is an important part, that they should be playing a role in that? If we're talking about movement building, I spent my whole life in movements. The only time a movement starts to happen is when we, the activists or the nutritionists, are the minority, that it does not depend on us, that things will happen. That's when we move from being an institution to building a movement. And I think that's what we've got to do, is how do we take this great IP that we have in this room of business models, of expertise, of products, of innovation, and make it happen in the places where malnutrition kills our people. And I think that's our challenge. And that means we've got to build the most unusual types of alliances with the most unusual types of partners. And there's no one that should sit as a gatekeeper deciding, I will allow X number of this person and not allow that person. We all have a role. In the way we built a movement against apartheid, it included everyone. Whether you were an atheist or a communist, a Christian or a Muslim, whether you were in business or you were a trade unionist, whether you were, people that were in scientists or university professors, everyone had a role to play. And in any sector, you will have bad apples and you have good apples. But you cannot rule out a sector because of that. I think ultimately for us to succeed in malnutrition, we have to deal with the elephant in our room. We have to make our governments work so that they can deliver what they are constitutionally and legally obligated to deliver. And so we have to work with government. We have to work with business, because I was a trade unionist. Imagine a trade unionist saying, I'm going to organize workers, but I refuse to negotiate with the management. We wouldn't have a trade union movement. So how, when the majority of people are buying the food in the marketplace, how do you build a campaign against malnutrition without negotiating with the guys that are producing the thing? Whether they are good people or bad people, you still have to sit around the table. And I think ultimately, that's what we have to do. And my last point, and I think that it points to what the role of donors are and what the role of the UN system. They can either kill the movement by the type of demands they put on people working at the coalface, or they can help create an environment that grows the movement by allowing them to do what they do without flooding them with demands around information that is completely irrelevant to what we want, because we want to satisfy some bean counter. So unless we deal with these issues, David, and stop trying to be so diplomatic with each other, we will meet in 5 years' time, and we'll still be talking about taking up a campaign.
What did you say?
No. He was just doing that for applause. I'm sorry. That was just a setup. Thank you very much indeed, Jay. You're all going to get your chance to come back. You've seen the different perspectives, and we tried to be diplomatic. Nahas, he's Ministry of Defence of Angola. He'll see whether he says the same.
Well, today I'm here as a civil society, not a minister.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. As the chairman of the Namibia Alliance for Improved Nutrition. Yes. And I want just to suggest to you that since I'm one of the few senior citizens here, in Africa we don't interrupt a senior citizen when the senior citizen is talking. My good friend there can attest to that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when I was listening, no, I'll make your job very easy. When I was listening to all the presentations, I had to filter these messages within the context of my own environment, that is Namibia. We have been working on the challenges of malnutrition for some time. We started far back in 2007 as a response to higher levels of infant mortality. And we found that the drivers of this infant mortality, part of it, is malnutrition. And David came up, I think he was traveling somewhere in Southern Africa, and he heard what we were doing. So he came up with Scale Up Nutrition. Thank you for joining the club. Now, having started that far, we have been able to document our situation and really understand the dimensions of malnutrition in our society. That's why we carried out what we call the nutrition landscape analysis, which we launched last year. It's an evidence-based study to tell us where the problem is. And recently, with the assistance of UNICEF and the World Bank, we completed our country implementation plan. In this process, right now, we are in a stage which I can call fire brigade work, meaning that all the interventions are clinical. They are based on a clinic intervention. Whether you are talking about ANC, my friend is a member of the ANC, but not that ANC, it's another one. Or whether we are talking about supplementary feeding, breastfeeding, deworming, measuring growth. We are doing other things. And our reach is about somewhere there, 80% of the population. But we have now to move to the next stage. And the next stage is resilience, domestic resilience, or household resilience. And I would have wished to see here the FAO, the Food Agency of the UN, because I think they have a great contribution to make. We are talking here about the small farmers in our villages. How can we empower them to be able to produce enough food for their families and also create some form of food and nutrition security at the household level? That's really the challenge, to help the smallholder farmer to produce food for himself or herself, for the family, on a sustainable basis. To me, that is the next step. The other step, which is very difficult, is that many of our countries in Africa are exporters of food. And we regard food as some kind of a commodity, the commoditization of food. Namibia is guilty of that because we produce a lot of fish, and it is well enjoyed by my friends in West Africa there, and also in Spain and other places. And what happens now is that the price of fish becomes priced on the world market, something that even if the fish is available in the country, you can't afford it. So sometimes it's not really that the food is not available. It's the question of affordability and access. And this requires, as my comrade Naido was saying, a political action, somehow. And it's not easy because we are more focused on foreign currency earnings rather than on food security of our own people. It's a tough situation we have. But we have to create awareness among our business people, among our political leadership, that at least the food we have should be affordable to the community, should be accessible to the community, so that in the process we we build up a national food security and nutrition security. To me, those are the challenges in the medium term. Thank you.
Oh, you are great. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for making that linkage between food security and nutrition security so clear. And I think many of us know that Namibia has been really badly hit by drought this year. And so these are words right from the deepest part of your heart. Thank you very much, Nahas. And now Ibu Nina. Ibu Nina, coming to us, leading the Sunners from Indonesia. Your view over the next 5 years, please.
Thank you, Pat David. The more I'm involved with Sun Movement, the more I believe that the movement need to be eventually sustained in the government programs. And in being able to do that, among others, we need to link the movement with poverty eradication strategy of the country. So that is, I think, first. The second thing, we endorse that the principles of the Sun movements, among others, is building trust and fight conflict of interest. And since all of these 42 countries are at the implementation stage, development of clear guidelines of what conflict of interest is very pressing. So, and that is also relevant to Indonesia. The other thing that I believe we need to do is we need to concentrate in developing the monitoring and evaluation framework that is also included with the formulation of what I mentioned in the Sun Lead Group meeting, the formulation of common indicators and the definition of the indicators so that each country can report the progress based on the common indicators. So there will be no confusion in implementing or in measuring the progress. And I think the last one is I constantly heard the importance of bringing the Ministry of Finance on board, but we forgot that we need to bring the Development Planning Agency on board because there is no budget allocation without robust planning.
Thank you very much indeed, Ibanina.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was our views from the panel. We have a few minutes left before we enter the closing part of our workshop. And I would be very interested, again, moving around quickly, for your statements to us about the next 5 years, either supporting what you've heard or questioning what you've heard. And very quick, if you don't mind, we have our colleagues with the microphones either side. Who would like to come first? 5 years. 5 years' time, what I want. Oui, vous avez la parole.
Ok, merci bien. On va parler un peu le français aussi. Et je remercie le panel, mais je voudrais dire pour les 5 prochaines années que nous mettions un accent fort sur le déploiement en milieu communautaire. Au niveau de tous les pays, nous avons pu mettre les cadres multisectoriels, nous avons institutionnalisé la nutrition, mais il faut aller au-delà pour toucher les communautés, les villages les plus reculés. C'est ça, c'est grâce à ça que nous pouvons vaincre la malnutrition. Donc on va dépasser le stade d'institutionnalisation pour aller à l'action et au niveau communautaire. Je vous remercie.
Very good, very clear. Next, 2 or 3. Get the, yeah. Come in, Dr. Tandon from the Coalition for Sustainable Nutrition in India. Rajiv, you're most welcome. This is great moment. Come in.
Thank you, David. Those were absolutely fantastic ideas, and we know that we are country-centric, we are multi-sectoral, we want action on the ground, we want to monitor better. But these next 5 years will also determine the post-2015 agenda. And I think at this point of time, we have seen the documents of the log frames, the results framework, the UN Secretary General's document on post-2015 agenda. There is, I think, a bit of upward advocacy also that's required, where we should identify champions in the high-level panel of the post-2015 group and actually ensure that nutrition security at scale is well incorporated in post-2015.
Thank you very much indeed, Rajiv. And I hope you'll be able to help us get more states in the wonderful country of India to come in. Maharashtra, 110 million people. That's an average sized state in India, you know. So we could do with a few more, and it is in your hands. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for being here. Sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Fidel Ngabo. I come from Rwanda. So I think for the next 5 years, what I can propose is, if we really need to achieve, is to put a clear mechanism so that countries must be accountable for the dollar they receive. Donors must be accountable for the commitment of dollar they commit. And also, SAN Secretariat must be accountable for the support they commit to do. And also, during the 5 years also, what I can propose is to present the success in conference like this, but also in some scientific peer review journals, so all the world can learn from the SAN countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Fidel, very much indeed. Very clear and precise. I got most of it. I'll talk to you afterwards to get some more. 3 or 4 more, we have time. Who's coming in next? Up at the back. Same speed, please, sir. Shayu, across there, 3 across. Thank you very much indeed. You have the mic.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
That's Chris. Come in, Chris.
Yes. My name is Chris from Nigeria. I'm really impressed at the commitment and passion of members of the lead group. In the next 5 years, I want to see the momentum of the movement sustained. I want to see nutrition remaining on the global agenda. I want to see the involvement, particularly of the private sector, more involvement of tapping the potentials that are, unlocking the potentials that are within the private sector in a way that we will be able to improve resources for nutrition. And finally, I also want in the next 5 years that countries network together, get to share experiences a lot more, and get to learn from each other. And in the end, we'll see a reduction in stunting rate as well as reduction in wasting rate in the country and an improved maternal nutrition in the different member countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, 2 or 3 in front. Let's get them nice and short. Ladies, both of you sitting together. Pass the mic to each other. Siki.
Thank you. I'm Joycelyn Kaganda from Tanzania. What I would suggest is the SAN Secretariat to help us think on how countries can learn from each other in action, not from conferences, but practically. And then the second thing is how best can we network from the low level to the national level. The third thing is building capacity on tracking information from low level to national level. And the fourth thing is on the issue of advocacy. I think we need more capacity on how to deal with advocacy, especially in the middle class, because we have high-level commitment, and the technical people know how to go, but the middle decision makers, there's still a problem there in the middle.
Thank you very much indeed. To your right. Hello.
I'm Lediana Mafuru-Mng'ong'o. I'm a member of parliament from Tanzania. And what I want to see in 5 years to come is more involvement of elected leaders, especially members of parliament, and commend Tanzania for bringing a member of parliament in this meeting. So I want to see more members of parliament because we know they have the oversight role. You are talking about increasing more resources, but it needs more oversight of which is being done by members of parliament. You are talking about, we need to have legal framework, and we know we need to change or amend our laws. So members of parliament are really one of the group to be involved, including councillors at the lower level. But because it's a movement of everybody, we need to bring on board the religious leaders that should be involved if we want to involve everybody in this movement. So I thank you so much for the invitation, and I would like to see more members of parliament, if possible, to have another forum for members of parliament or elected leaders to come up with different ideas which we can share with all business, community, civil society, and all groups which are involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close now this part of the meeting. Don't forget your evaluation forms. I'm going to just give you a very short few words. Number one, remember how we started. There's a new story about nutrition. We are seeing transformation in countries. There's a real focus in impact, and scaling up nutrition is a long-term approach. This is how we started yesterday. This is how we are finishing. All of you have identified the need for capacity to deliver. All of you have identified the importance of involving communities, particularly women, political leaders, parliamentarians at all levels and in different parts of government. All of you see the absolute importance of working together, building trust and accountability, and as we've just heard, avoiding conflicts of interest. All of you want to be sure that we get impact and demonstration of results through monitoring and evaluation systems that work. All of you would like to be sure that the investors find your plans and your implementation arrangements to be those that they would like to finance. All of you want to be fully accountable. All of you want indicators that you can share with each other. All of you want to link together different processes to get results. All of you believe that civil society and business need to be there and want to be sure that the UN system, donors and others who help provide really good aligned support. Yes, you want the movement to go on, but you want it to converge with these new initiatives like Nutrition for Growth or with the wonderful 1,000 Days Partnership, so that we all work together in the same direction. You want to sustain your energy and you want to deliver results. But underlying this, there is a truth. We are all outraged and angry. We are all organizing and agitating. We are all going to end malnutrition. Wah, outraged and angry. Wah, organized and agitating. Wem, ending malnutrition. As you leave, if you speak English, wah, wah, wem is the message that I have going through my head for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. On your behalf, I'd like to thank the panel. And in a minute, we're going to say goodbye to them. But just remember that we have the lead group, and it's a fantastic collection of people who work for us. Before I thank them, I'd just like, on everybody's behalf, to thank the Sun Movement Secretariat. Could I just invite those of you in the Secretariat who are not hidden away dealing with problems somewhere, could you just come and stand with me next to the lead group, perhaps behind them, and just receive this applause, because you really deserve every bit of it. Stefano, come. Ashley. Martin, Eleanor, Fiona, Laurence, Delphine, Maya, Pat, Andrea, Michelle, come on, Michelle. Michelle was at the cash desk. Michelle. Fanny, come on, Fanny. Unfanat Edwi, Nolan Meyer. Here's Nolan. Here's Fanny. We brought on, some of these people here came on specially for the global gathering. Where are you? Nolan came on specially for the where's Sally? Salom.
Dealing with problems.
Sally's backstage. Some of you have been with us in the Secretariat for some time. Twee just joined. Shayu did most of the compendium. Matt wrote the report. Delphine. Patrizia, you all know. Delphine and Pau working on the country stuff. Martin with the networks. Fiona, advocacy and communications, together with Twee, together with Maria. Michelle, administration. Unfanat, my personal assistant. Thank you, Fanny. It's terrible. Everybody. Stefano, working strongly with civil society. Ashley on the Zero Hunger Challenge. All of you, fantastic people, having to cope with me. Florence as the Chief of Staff. Just one more clap, please, because I want really to thank them. So, ladies and gentlemen, could we now say thank you to this wonderful panel? Thank you to everybody. We're going to clear the stage, and we have just one final piece left. Just let yourselves go a bit and enjoy. Don't leave your seats under any circumstances. Thank you very much indeed. all of you, thank you again. Asia Society, thank you for being with us, for having us.
And gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you New York's and the world's renowned a cappella doo-wop band, Spank.
All right, all right. How you guys doing out there? How's everybody doing out there? All right. Yeah. Wow. They're gonna burn the roof up, baby.
Test 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
When the night has come, and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light you'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand. Stand by me.
Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me.
When the stars that you look upon should come and fall, and the mountains should come to the sea. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear just as long as you stand by me.
Stand by me.
So darling, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Whoa, stand. Stand by me.
Stand by me. Stand by me.
Whenever you're in trouble, baby, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Whoa, stand. Stand by me.
Stand by me. Stand by me.
If the stars, come on, y'all, look upon, come and fall, and the mountains come to the sea. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear just as long as you stand by me.
Stand by me.
So darling, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Whoa, stand. Stand by me.
Stand by me. Stand by me.
Whenever you're in trouble, baby, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Whoa, stand. Stand by me. Stand by me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear us? Okay. Hello.
Listen, guys, this is a party. You feel like you want to come up here and sing? Come on up here and sing. You don't feel like you want to dance? Plenty of dance right here. Don't get on down.
I don't know. Let's do something. Like what? I don't know. Keep them going, man. They look like they like to have fun.
What? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
But you know, we look like you got lovers in the house too, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that, man. Yeah. Go, babe.
I got sunshine.
I guess that you say what can make me feel this way.
It's my girl.
She's my girl. Oh, whoa, whoa. My girl. She's mine. Do we do bottle it we do bottle it we I guess that you say what can make me feel this way.
It's my girl.
She's my girl. Whoa, whoa, my girl.
I don't need no more.
We do bottle it we do
all the
bottle
riches,
it
baby. One man could claim.
Bottle it I guess that you say what can make me feel this way.
It's my girl.
She's my girl. Whoa, whoa, my girl. She's mine. She's my girl. Do bottle it. She's my girl. Do bottle it. She's my girl. Do she's my girl. Well, I guess that you would say what can make me feel this way.
It's my girl.
She's my girl. Whoa, 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 my girl.
All right. For this next election, we're going to keep y'all up a bit. Is that okay? All right. Oh, you wasn't about to leave your man out there? I got something for you now. Okay. You ready, man?
No, man.
You better hurry up.
This might get a mind of his own, man.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg, plead for your sympathy, I don't mind, 'cause you mean that much to me. I ain't about to beg. Oh, sweet darling, please don't leave me, girl.
Don't you go, girl.
I ain't too proud to please, baby, baby. Please don't leave me, girl.
Don't you go.
Now if I sleep on your doorstep all night and day to keep you from walking away, and my friends to laugh, you see, it's hard to stand. I'm gonna keep you any way I can. Ain't you proud to beg, sweet darling? Please, girl, don't you go.
Girl, don't go
I ain't too
nowhere.
proud to please, baby, baby. Please don't leave me, girl. Give a little bit, Reg. Go ahead.
I know my man is half a man with no sense of pride. But if I have to try to keep you, I don't mind weeping if that'll keep you by my side. Ain't too proud to beg, sweet darling. Please don't leave me, girl.
Don't you go.
Girl, don't go nowhere. Please, baby, baby. Leave me, girl, don't you go. See, now this is the part what we call audience participation. Come here, man. Come here, man. Come on up here, man. Come on. Come on, man. I don't care if you got to sing it in African. Come on. Let's go, baby.
Sweet darling,
Leave me, girl, don't you go. See, I'm from New York, baby. We both. Please, baby, baby. Please don't leave me, girl, don't you go. Now I got to. I'm coming down the line. Zip, 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 Oh, I'm coming now. See, this ain't just a man song. See, my brother look like he ready to sing. Leave me, girl, don't you looking back there for? Girl, don't go nowhere, please, baby, baby. Leave me, girl, don't you go. Now I gotta do. Zip, 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 What you laughing at? You getting ready to sing too? Do, sweet darling. Leave me, girl, don't you go. Girl, don't go nowhere, please, baby, baby. Please don't leave. This gentleman here has been sitting here so distinguishedly. So he looks like he's really ready to get loose. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I told you this is not just a man song. Don't you go, girl, don't go nowhere. I want you to sing this song to him like you're madly in love, baby. Please don't leave me, girl, don't you go. Zip, 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 I love you, sweetie. Ain't you proud to me, sweet darling? Say, please don't leave me, girl. Don't you go, girl. Don't go nowhere. Please, baby, baby. Please don't leave me, girl. Don't you go. Bottom, bottom, bottom. Are you guys having a good time? Yeah. All right, see, that's all that matters, baby. Whew. Like you've been working. We're going to keep the pace up a little bit. Is that okay? Is that all right with you? We're going to do a little thing done by Jackie Wilson back in the day. It's a little thing entitled Higher and Higher. How high we going, Bill? I can't go much higher. Your love keeps lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, this is my desire, 'cause I'll be at your side forevermore. You know your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher, higher and higher, higher. You know your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me, keeps lifting me higher and higher. Check it out. Now once I was downhearted, disappointment was my only friend. Then came you and suddenly departed. And now I'm at your side forevermore. You know your love keeps on lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher, higher. You know your love keeps lifting me higher and higher. Check it out. I'm so glad I finally found you. Found my one in a million, girl. When you're out, your loving arms around me, and I can stand up and face the world. Come on, y'all. You know your love keeps on lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher, higher. You know your love keeps lifting me higher and higher. keeps on lifting me higher, 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 high. You know your love
keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me,
keeps lifting me higher and higher, 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 higher. Yeah. You got it. All right, all right, all right. I felt like I just ran a gym class. But I'm losing it, baby. That's right. I'm not just chunky, I'm sexy. Oh, man. You guys have been one of the most fun audience we've had in a long time, and I like that.
That's true, that's right.
Give yourself a round of applause. We're going to try a song that I haven't done in months. So if you hear a little snap, crackle, pop, it's not me. It's Rice Krispies.
Yes, it's him.
Oh, what a night to love you, dear. Oh, what a night to squeeze you, dear. Oh, what a night to hold you, dear. Said that's why. Said I love you so. Oh, what a night to hold you, dear. Oh, what a night to squeeze. Oh, you like this? Oh, what a night to hold you, dear. Said that's why. Said I love you so. 'Cause I won't forget all those things you have told to me. Said I never will forget, no. Said things in my heart won't let me forget your love. Oh, what a night to love you, dear. Oh, what a night to squeeze you, dear. Oh, what a night to hold you, dear. Said that's why I love you so. I won't forget all those things you have done to me. Yeah, he's just smooth, man. He's just smooth. No. The things in my heart won't let me forget your love. Oh, what a night. I'm gonna sing the song to you, baby. Oh, what a night to squeeze you, dear. Oh, what a night to hold you, dear. That's why, baby, said I love you so. Girl, I won't forget all those things you have told to me. Said I never will forget, no. The pain in my heart won't let me forget your love. Oh, what a night to love you, dear. To squeeze you, dear. Oh, what a night to hold you, dear. That's why, baby, said I love you so. Girl, I won't forget all those things you have told to me. Said I never will forget, no. The pain in my heart won't let me forget your love. Oh, what a night to love you, dear. To squeeze you, dear. Excuse me, baby. What's your name? Hold you, dear. Yeah, I love you so. Come on down. I won't forget all those things you have done to me. Oh, no. The pain in my heart won't let me forget your love. To love you, dear. To squeeze you, dear. Oh, what I do. This is how you do it when you're talking about selling. You're really trying to let her know that you love her. Check it out, guys. You see, Marcella, I've been wanting to take you out for a long time, baby. I meant to tell you, baby, but I'm so in love with you. Oh, girl, you just make my heart go. Oh. She's bad, guys. She's bad. Thank you, Marcel. Oh, in the night, said that's why I love you so. Thank you. See, this is how we do it in New York City. We have fun, baby. You gotta have fun. You know, life is too short. Tomorrow's promised to nobody, but everybody holds their own future. Yeah. So, we got one more for you guys. We got one what we call the tribute song. This song just doesn't make you want to dance. It makes you just want to just run around the whole building and just get crazy. So everybody just take off your suit jackets. Ladies, take off your shawls and your sweaters, because we about to shake it up in here. Now, this is one of those audience participation songs. See, you know, you look like you ready to groove. You ready? You guys ready? Well. No, that don't sound like New York City, baby.
Come on, now, come on.
I said, well. Yes. Sexual chocolate. I said, well. I said, well. Ooh. Well, get out of that bed and wash your face and hands. Well, get out of that bed and wash your face and hands. Lord, get into that kitchen and shake those posse pants. All I want to do is just shake, roll and roll in the morning. Shake, roll and roll. Shake, roll and roll. Come on, girl. Come on, sing this song. Well, I said, come on, girl, before I lose my doggone soul. Well, I'm like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. Yeah, get on up. Well, I'm like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. Lord, I don't look so much till I can't eat no doggone more. All I want to do is just shake, roll and roll in the morning. Shake, roll and roll. Come on up here, you guys. Come on. Roll and roll. Come on, girl. Roll and roll. Well, I said, come on, girl, before I lose my doggone. Ladies, come on up on the stage. Come on, girls. Come on, girls, come on. All you ladies up on the stage. Now, fellas, I know y'all ain't gonna let her go on the stage by themselves. Come on up here, guys. Shake, around and roll. Shake, around and roll. Shake, round and roll. Come on, girl. Come on, round and roll. Come on, girl. Come on, girl. Don't make me come and get you. Oh, don't make me come and get you. I'm like a one-eyed cat beeping in a seafood store. I'm like a one-eyed cat beeping in a seafood store. Man, come get some of these beautiful women. Come on. Come on, ladies. That's right. Come on, ladies. Come on. Come on. Shake, around and roll. Come on, girl. Shake, around and roll. Shake, around and roll. Come on, yo. Around and roll. Well, I said, come on, girl. Shake, around and roll. Well, I said, over the hill and around the bend she goes. Come on, man. Well, I said, over the hill and around the bend she goes. Well, it made me grit my teeth. Man, you make me lose my soul. All I want to do is just shake, around and roll. Shake, around and roll. Yeah. Say yo. Say yo. Say yo. Shake, around and roll. All right. This is a part of the show where everybody that's sitting down, get up out them seats, baby. That's right, get up out them seats. Come on, y'all, stand on up. If you don't come down here, I want to see you shake it up there. Shake, round and roll. Come on, shake, round and roll. Shake, round and roll. Come on, girl, round and roll. Well, I say, come on, girl, go lose my doggone soul. Round and roll. Well, I'm like a one-eyed cat beeping in a seafood store. Lord, I'm like a one-eyed cat beeping in a seafood store. Lord, I don't look so much till I can't need no doggone. There you go, y'all. Oh, shake, round and roll. Shake, round and roll. Shake, round and roll. Come on, girl. Round and roll. Well, I said, come on, girl, or I lose my doggone soul. Hey, Todd, you ready? Come on, Todd. This is Todd, our bass player. Get your hands together for Todd. On first tenor, we have Mr. Herman C.A. On second tenor, we have Mr. Bill Hudson. And on bottom, we have my main man, Dexter. And my crazy birthday, I just go by the name of Buddha Love, baby. God bless you. Have a great evening. I said, oh, oh, tell me what I say. 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 I said, oh, baby, it's all right. 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 All I want to do is just shake, round and roll in the morning. Shake, round and roll. Shake, round and roll. Come on, girl. Round and roll. Well, I said, come on, girl. Go lose my doggone shake. Round and roll. Yeah. Yes. Take a bow. Herman. Turn around, turn around. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Once again, we want to thank you guys for inviting us, for having us here. Yes, to say enjoy this evening with you guys. You guys have been one of the most fun crowds we've dealt with in a long time. We want to thank you very much. Continue doing what you're doing, guys, and God bless. Thank you, good brother. Where does this one go?
See you all next year. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye. Safe journey home.